biggest up-and-coming title in the world. So ladies and gentlemen, from multiverses far and wide, are you ready to rival?
DARKZERO are going to be starting things off, just putting themselves into a position to scout out the composition they're up against. We've got Impuniti on that Magneto, and we've got Madara on the Emma too, so they do have a lot of frontline pressures on to that objective, the FLYQUEST. They've got so much long-term sustainability with these fights, and already they're 23% to both their strategist ults.
FlyQuest looking to stack their ultimates as well. DARKZERO doing the same. So far, it's looking to be on even footing as the numbers and the health bar is going up and down and up again. Vision is going to be the first to fall, but does have the cocoon, so it'll be an even fight for the time being. But there is so much more action happening on the flank side of things as DARKZERO are able to get a one-man advantage.
Oh my goodness, Smash coming on through with that Psylocke, getting to play, like you said, those off angles. FlyQuest in the first fight already burnt the regen domain, the regenerative cocoon, and the soul bind coming on out, which means that they didn't get to scoop up the original point percentage. They've had to back off of it entirely. Energy's going to be able to open up this next fight with the Kraken impact, but Rymazing's got his, and Karova with the invisible boundary is going to be able to slow everything down to a standstill.
Vision is also very close to that Karmic Revival, so if DARKZERO do in fact pull the trigger, they have to keep tabs on where this Adam Warlock is. They have to find where he's positioned, where he's located, and they have to go for the play. But DARKZERO looks like they're going to have to pull the trigger as a flawed up duelist ultimate wipe out FlyQuest, as both of those ultimates from Rymazing and Smash are teaming up to take out FlyQuest, who do need to run for the hills and look for that reset very quickly.
That's a lethal combination coming out. Rymazing and Smash both getting the damage ultimates at the same time as Cooper went through with the regenerative domain from those doppelgangers. It does mean, however, that FlyQuest get to hold on to both the Loki and the Adams ultimates for this next fight. The question is, do they get the opportunity to use them, as DARKZERO are going to be 60% plus on the board at the moment. Madara going to have that stone introduction just to try and shut down FlyQuest, but it looks like they don't want to start with the ult. They want to kite back to the point and force FlyQuest to be a little bit too deep, so that when the Emerald ultimate comes out, the reaction has to be the regen domain.
FlyQuest went a little forward. DARKZERO gave him a little space, something that we don't see very often in these domination kinds of maps. DARKZERO, though, are going to contest right on the point. A dance battle between the two. Luna Snows as Energy lands the gauntlet, but everyone on DARKZERO looking to clap right back. Cooper and the rest of FlyQuest need to find a way, find the method to get themselves into the site, but FlyQuest, they have to stay on the site for the time being as the overtime meter comes into fruition. Vest with the meteor cannot find any value thanks to the invisible boundary, keeping everyone sustained, as that's going to be the signal for Smash to go right in, get the Cutterfly down, but is not able to find any value. But Energy and SparkChief and FlyQuest are successful in their retake attempt.
Yeah, Psylocke behind the point, not actively on the objective, meant that Energy did not have to worry about keeping the Psylocke marked, was free to go through and play off of all of the space provided by SparkChief and Vez. And this is where FlyQuest composition truly hits its stride. DARKZERO don't have an ultimate to start sweeping FlyQuest's numbers, which means that we're going to see Vision get to hold on to this Karmic Revival for a very long time, as they just have to deal with the retake potential of Psionic Seduction from DARKZERO's end.
Madara has that Psionic Seduction like you just said, but Vision and Zelos and Energy all still have their ultimates alive and ready to go, as Madara, the only member on DARKZERO with their ultimate, will have to pull the trigger, but FlyQuest are willing to zone away, but they find Energy and Cooper. DARKZERO looking to clap right back despite the disadvantage in ultimates, but Vision is there to keep that fight going, and this party is nowhere near stopping in this Hellfire Gala.
Party music's going to be continuing real soon too, because Smash is about to hit that dance with the butterflies. Cooper does still have the God of Mischief to be able to copy onto Vision, but Energy is the one that everyone is going to be looking at from DARKZERO. There's the dance with the butterflies. Regen Domain and Doppelganger is going to be coming on through. We hit Cooper actually go for the copy, and it's not the Adam that he grabs, it's the Luna instead. The sustainability to last through the Kraken Rymazing and Impuniti with the slam dunk off the velocities, damage boost, clean the slate, and FlyQuest are down all of their players.
It looks so bad for DARKZERO. It looked like they were using their ultimates at the same time. Velocity and Karova, a little bit of miscommunication there, but it seems to not matter for the time being as DARKZERO with a triple dunk from Impuniti take over round number 1. Whereas DARKZERO, though, they still have that silent seduction, which means that SparkChief has to stay with the team, stay grouped, allow the Star-Spangled Path to keep the bonus HP alive for FlyQuest as they look to converge right onto the second round. DARKZERO are up one leg. Can they find the second?
They have to walk into Madara, who's going to be set up with that Psionic Seduction. SparkChief now manages to bolt the Freedom Charge, which should be the green light for FlyQuest. Captain America's ultimate comes through. DARKZERO utilizing the Psionic Seduction to try and shut down the space as they ignore the Vanguard entirely, rushing onto FlyQuest backline to force SparkChief to have to peel. However, the picks have come through on FlyQuest, and they were able to take out Velocity on the Invis, and Jeff alone is just not enough. FlyQuest have so much more sustainability as we get to see the cast of the Kraken. In fact, it dodges the Jeff ult cast, but he's still in the iframe and doesn't get hit by the aura impact.
FlyQuest now looking to take the driver's seat. They are able to seize control thanks to the Jeff ultimate from the team. As everyone on FlyQuest, they're playing far forward. They're trying to get as much room as possible and give away DARKZERO's chance of coming back from this map.
Smash and Rymazing could very well overlap their ultimates the way that we saw on Carousel coming through here. However, FlyQuest, they've got the lifelines. They've got the Fate of Both Worlds from Zelos. They've also got Cooper. It's going to be the start of the fight, so Regen, Domain, and Clones are all still going to be active, which means the DARKZERO can't afford to take this fight first. They've got to stagger out some of those resources. Projection is just a bait. Smash trying to force Cooper's hand into burning that one so they can get the amount of doppelgangers off the field to diminish the dash absorbs.
Dash absorb indeed. Smash looking to get spotted, but he's going to have to 1v1 the opposing duelist that is of energy. But FlyQuest have a lot of their ultimates alive and ready to go. DARKZERO also has theirs as well. It's a matter of time of when these duelists decide to pull the trigger. When do they use their ultimates? When does that Cutterfly pop out? When does energy use the ultimate? But he's going to get taken down into the side. The flood of red fills the feed, but Vision looks to equalize things with a double Jeff of his own, and Fess, the hometown hero, will find the landing blow. DARKZERO fall to pieces as FlyQuest extend their lead.
SparkChief was still up and alive. DARKZERO started picking off players, but they didn't get the Captain America with Freedom Charge. So Vision is the hero of the hour, and DARKZERO, they know that this is the final hour. We're about to go into overtime. Impunity's got to swap onto this range so that they don't get caught without the use of Portal.
Impuniti needs to make a quick 5 seconds. This is the timer. Can they get it down in time? It looks like they will be able to tap a foot as Galacta lights the overtime candle. Energy and the rest of FlyQuest need to stave the flood that is of DARKZERO. A black hole that DARKZERO are trying to create to consume the rest of FlyQuest. But so far, Karova on DARKZERO are able to get everyone alive and well, keep that damage up going.
Energy.
But the hook comes in from Energy, and then the gauntlet, and then the slam, and then gets the reset with the clone as Energy still has it ready. Can he use it? Can he find the value? Will use the clone to get the resets down. Does he find the right Loki clone? Not yet, but he's able to find the other strategist. Energy, keep going. Oh, do it again and do it again, but Smash is able to shut it down.
Brilliant
DARKZERO.
Carbon Crush. Huge Carbon Crush, but FlyQuest still think that this is winnable. Vez comes on through with a strange portal of their own. DARKZERO's entire
Oh, they got it.
were entirely bankrupted, and DARKZERO didn't think that FlyQuest would portal onto the point. They've been fought and had all of their positions entirely flipped, and FlyQuest are doing it. Down to the Butterflies has to come through, but this doesn't count as contesting, so DARKZERO have to have Impunity on the objective instead. The Psylocke ultimate is done, but no one is there to be able to really want to point, and FlyQuest take it away.
What a map number one. We are tied one apiece. FlyQuest and DARKZERO. This American Derby putting on a show.
He just has to prove consistently that he's going to be able to hit those highs. And speaking about hitting highs, Rymazing is going to be starting off in the skies. He's going to be going over to the Ultron to be able to read FlyQuest positions a little bit better, plus put more pressure on Vision on the Jet.
A little bit of an interesting move from DARKZERO, right? Rymazing operating on the Ultron, taking to the skies. A hero that got gutted in this season 4.5. Not much utility, not much ultimate charge available for Rymazing, but still a hero to be reckoned with. Still has a lot of damage, still has a lot of decent utility, albeit a little less than what was used to be, as Madara kicks things off with that Silent Seduction. The regen field already burned by Cooper. Can Madara find the CC? Can they put FlyQuest in a trance? It looks like they won't be able to, as Zelos open things up with that dance floor.
Can they force Velocity into using Lunar Ultimate? No! It's going to be a shutdown from Impuniti instead. Meteor and
Vision.
it's not there to shut down the It's Jeff. Vision's been able to grab two. And everybody was looking at the Jeff to try and stop him. No one is looking at the Magneto. And FlyQuest sweep the house. DARKZERO at least are going to be able to have the Rage of Ultron to open up this first fight. However, SparkChief with the Captain America should be able to give the Freedom Charge for FlyQuest to outlast.
An electric sea of blue fills the feed for FlyQuest in that fight. Vess, the hometown hero of Atlanta, landing the dunk onto two, and then Vision stacks it up with another. But now FlyQuest have their chance to come back into this entire best of three within this map number one. DARKZERO, though, have to find a way to retake, and that key moment will be when will Rymazing use the Rage of Ultron as he gets knocked down for a tiny bit.
Yeah, that knockdown from the Tainted Voltage is absolutely brutal. Ultron into a retake is not a fun position.
There we go.
There's the Kraken impact. Rage of Ultron's going to be used to try to shut it down. The damages and heals, but the regenerative domain comes through from Cooper, trying to save energy. It's not in time though, and DARKZERO will be able to shut the Kraken impact down, but they still have to worry about Freedom Charge from SparkChief, and they still haven't been able to find it in onto the point itself.
DARKZERO worried would gain a little bit of space, but it's not a whole lot of moments to work with as SparkChief finally uses the Freedom Charge, but Smash wants to cancel this parade of FlyQuest jumping in onto the site. But DARKZERO, they have that Madara Silent Seduction available yet again, but Vision, he has been an absolute god on that Jeff, and it's all gonna come down to him if he's able to swallow up any member of DARKZERO.
The big thing about the Jeff ult as well is that it's CC immune, so what we could well see is the reaction to Silent Seduction with its Jeff to put the pressure onto DARKZERO's players and scoop them all out of the fight so they don't get to follow up on the Emmers, as Vision is just going to be putting the pressure onto Rymazing on the Ultron. Impuniti is going to be able to build up the Meteor M to put the shutdown onto Vision's ultimate at least. So DARKZERO do have really good equipment to be able to deal with FlyQuest win conditions. Speaking of which, the Carbon Crush has put so much pressure onto Vez that the regen domain's already been fought. Rage of Ultron comes now from Rymazing. Cooper's going to be able to mirror sustainability with Fate of both worlds. Vez uses the Meteor M to try and absorb it and send it hurtling back onto DARKZERO. And we've got a whole ult dump fight coming through from both of these teams, and that's always going to benefit something like the Winter Soldier with the Kraken impact.
Vision now pops the It's Jeff. Is he able to find the angle? It's going to be a question mark. He actually swallows up the two Vanguards of DARKZERO, and there they go, off to the sidelines, down 60 feet under, as FlyQuest, they retake yet again and are able to get to that 99 mark, but that overtime meter should come into fruition. And in Impuniti, you need to get that portal gone. His hands are shaking. He knows that what's at stake as Karova escorts DARKZERO in, but that invisible boundary gone and it's sent away. DARKZERO, can you get the retake down? FlyQuest, they're looking good right now. SparkChief has that Freedom Charge available soon and will be able to pop it as soon as it's available, but that overtime meter still comes in. Rymazing has the Rage. Can he find the Rage of Ultron? That will be the anger issue that DARKZERO get into a round win, but SparkChief is able to cancel that with a Freedom Charge. Vest also close to his ultimate as well. Cooper will use that God of Mischief. It's a matter of what he copies, but DARKZERO, they have so many numbers coming up.
That's going to be the fate of both walls from Cooper. It's mirrored though by Velocity, but still, there's going to be a moment, a window for Impuniti to come through with a huge damage boost with Eye of Agamotto. The Jeff ult from Vision though, he's been able to get them off of the point, and we're still in overtime. The Strange goes off the map, no setup for Eye of Agamotto, and FlyQuest just have to deal now with the last couple of players from DARKZERO's end. Here comes Eye of Agamotto, the pivot immediately. He looks to block it, but he's not there in time. The max position was too far away from his backline, but they managed to finally get the pick, and overtime was gone for so long. The second that DARKZERO don't have a player presence.
The economy.
But we also got to see why so many of these teams are really stuck for choice when it comes to banning Adam and Invis to come on through.
Too many options would allow DARKZERO to just take over the entire map.
This woman with the Guardian Shield, staggers over energy, and the constant 24/7 damage boost from Cooper's end. As we're going to be seeing Impuniti actually roll out on the Strange just for a moment, wanting to utilize that shield on the walk-up, as if you keep an eye on the Strange, you're not keeping an eye on the Angela in your backline, because Smash is also on the Iron Fist. This is a split push coming through from DARKZERO, as aggressive as you would like it. He's trying to look for a Spear Slam onto one of these FlyQuest players to push them into DARKZERO's position, but there's just no one there.
Smash on that Iron Fist is a bit of a surprise pick coming into this entire tournament, but FlyQuest are just going to ruin the party of that pocket pick coming in from DARKZERO. Half the members already down, so they're going to have to run for the hills immediately, and they will have to wait another day for Madara and Smash to get that backline access.
I think the Strange is going to stay too, because remember, they went for the insta-ban on the Emma. Emma is one of the biggest things that Dr. Strange has to worry about, especially when it comes to those ultimates. As Vision at the moment is entirely untouchable. DARKZERO, they've lost the element of surprise right now. We're seeing Energy just trying to spam all of the pressure onto the stack so he can build up the Ensong Inferno as quickly as possible, playing the off angle, looking for the stuns. Every single time DARKZERO decide to make a move onto point, it's the Groot Walls from SparkChief which further isolate them from the team.
Yeah, the wall, just putting it right in between the strategist and the duelist and or Vanguard just provides so much utility, so much ways for FlyQuest to extend their current lead. And those Groot walls have been absolutely devastating on the side of DARKZERO. They need to find a different way. They need to find a way to break through that tree. Can they find a way to exit down?
It could be Karova's ultimate, however, Energy has the answer with the Ensong Inferno already being full. Out comes the Strangling Prison from SparkChief. FlyQuest getting aggressive with it, catching DARKZERO on the rotation over for Remain. And off of the back of that, it's a fast fight, at least for DARKZERO. One ultimate down on the end of FlyQuest, but they have such a stranglehold of all of the space right now.
Time already down to the halfway point. DARKZERO cannot find any room. Impuniti, Rymazing, and Velocity need to team up with their ultimates to find something that's seemingly out of nothing. FlyQuest, look at their economy. It is abundant right now. They only used the Strangling Prison in that past fight, but DARKZERO have to navigate so much of the map in order to find a way onto the zone.
Smash is going to go over to the Bucky, Rymazing the Atom. They're just going to play aggressive with that Soulbind to answer all of the ultimates that FlyQuest have available to them, as well as Impuniti looking for those walls. As Smash is able to find a hook target. Madara on the Emma wanting to punish the rush down. There's the Soulbind, like you said, and that's going to be the immediate green light for the Ensong Inferno to land its mark. Invis battery comes on through from Velocity. Fast tries to shut it down. The Groot wall is good though, and because they use the Meteor and they don't have it to stop the Jeff ultimate now, this could be the moment for Karova taking both of the Vanguards off the map.
Both Vanguards gone. The front line eviscerates before their eyes, but Vision looks to do the same. One Vanguard, one Duelist off the map, but Rymazing switches over to the Adam Warlock, is able to find the resurrection in time. Vess will not waste that Doctor Strange portal, will not wait, and he will just allow FlyQuest to contest this for a little bit longer. As Impuniti with the Strangling Prison tags on 3. The Invis Shield provides the utility, but only a momentary abatement for DARKZERO as they fall to pieces. As FlyQuest look to keep that defense going. Zelos does go down, but it's still a man advantage in favor of FlyQuest. Madara is just trying to scare away everyone of DARKZERO as Karova will find the Mantis. Cooper goes down into the abyss, and FlyQuest, so far, this defense is unwavering, still standing tall.
Oh, you can see as well the worry that DARKZERO had for FlyQuest being able to stall out that point. The fact that they committed the It's Jeff to be able to remove Cooper's potential for stall because Zelos had swapped onto the Rocket, doesn't manage to get the BRB into a position in time to save one of the FlyQuest players and push their position onto the point, but because of that, they're actually holding up a little bit closer. Out comes the Angela as well with the descent from SparkChief, enabling so much additional extra health and attack speed onto players from DARKZERO, and they push the attacking team all the way back into their spawn. This is awful news. They have no space to be able to work with, and FlyQuest are going to be able to drain the time back even further, as well as the ultimates from DARKZERO's end.
So many ultimates on FlyQuest. DARKZERO don't have many to work with. Rymazing and Karova are the two members still, but surely getting their ultimates so soon. Madara goes to sleep for a tiny bit, but FlyQuest have a lot of ultimates, and that's going to be one of them. Make that 2, make that 3, as they dump everything into the kitchen sink, as Vest tags on 3. 3 go down. FlyQuest flying sky high yet again.
FlyQuest are just going to be able to hold on to the space. DARKZERO, they're going to have to burn something like that stone extraction just to be able to walk forward, but that means that FlyQuest can either disengage it or try and slow down the momentum push with Vision's ultimate. And DARKZERO, they know they can't just walk through from main. They've got to wrap all the way around the castle and try and put the objective between themselves and FlyQuest to act as a little bit more natural cover, but that just means that Vez gets to hold around a corner and cleave into the approaching players. Velocity's onto the Cloak and Dagger, looking for the Terror Cape, so they have the accuracy and vulnerability to push some of these damages through without an ultimate to help them.
DARKZERO have a little bit of ultimates, but FlyQuest most notably have to have his Retribution and the Jeff combo. They're going to use it to their advantage. How many do they get? That's 3. Vision, you are so good on Jeff. 3 into the abyss. That's half of DARKZERO as the rest of them crumble to pieces. 30 seconds left for DARKZERO to find a way back.
You want to know how long as well that play was set up? Vision already had a speed bubble in place, so he would go off of the map faster if DARKZERO started getting him low enough. Smash is going to move over to the Winter Soldier. FlyQuest now putting a lot more distance between themselves and the Bucky as possible, so that energy is just entirely untouchable on this Phoenix all the way from the back line.
Karova now has the Chef. Rymazing still has that Karmic Revival. Never found a chance to use it at a good time, but Energy and the rest of FlyQuest are starting to cycle their ultimates yet again. Here comes that Eye of Agamotto onto 2. The target has to be Rymazing, or else this fight will go for so long, as Rymazing does get the Karmic Revival down. Impuniti and Madara are dangerously low, but they're able to bring themselves back into the fight. FlyQuest, though, have that Soul Resurgence waiting on Cooper. It's a matter of when to use it. They will use it in response to Velocity's Eternal Bond. And so many members, so many particles being thrown onto the payload, onto the site, as that overtime meter does come into fruition.
It's going to be overtime, which means that Vision's ultimate is going to be getting even more value. I wondered whether or not he would go for the Eat onto Velocity out of the ultimate, but no, he holds it as Impuniti holds the meter, and this should be a slam dunk onto the chalk, and there it is. DARKZERO are able to stop their players from being absolutely hostaged by Vision on the Jeff, but they're still having to take fights against FlyQuest players. They use all of their ultimates against the Jeff's ultimate, and now they have nothing left. It falls to Smash with the Kraken Impact to come on through and touch onto that objective, but there's just too much space from FlyQuest players, and he doesn't have the confidence to commit. He had to wait for his Emma to fall down before he got into position to tag in, and they lose the round without getting to use the Kraken Impact.
A little bit of
It's going to be too late, and first is lost.
And with those different routes available to FlyQuest, they will use that to their utmost advantage. SparkChief on that Angela will look to circle around and behind DARKZERO and maybe look for a skewer into their own team. DARKZERO do have a way to go back in. And you go, yeah, they're going straight in. No way for FlyQuest to try to find an opportunity. DARKZERO also have to respect the space that FlyQuest are forcibly giving to themselves, as Rymazing does get chunked down and has to reposition elsewhere.
I mean, they've lost the pre-developed angle from both the Heller and the Nemo of FlyQuest playing that aggressively forward with the Guardian Shield and the Mantis damage boost to stop DARKZERO from holding their positions into it. And off of the back back of that, SparkChief is absolutely unstoppable. He's entirely isolating parts of the backline so that when FlyQuest decide to get aggressive on the front line, there's no heals necessary to be able to sustain into it. Rymazing, like you said, goes over to the Strange, looks to port one through. Karova is going to have an invisible boundary for DARKZERO to be able to contest into, and it's going to be cast now, but that means that FlyQuest just have to wait for the next 8 seconds. Ooh, they're going to be able to find the elimination through it.
Energy is the star player, already coming out with the double. SparkChief is able to find things as well. Fess also capitalizes as well as DARKZERO fall apart, falling yet again, and FlyQuest, quick and you miss it, will take over point one.
Vision's going to have its chaff as well. If DARKZERO tried to set up, well, they can't even set up a Fringe portal. They used it. So FlyQuest are going to have maximum amount of players free on the objective to get it as close enough to the finish line as possible. And they're going to send SparkChief out to roam, disrupt DARKZERO's setup so they don't get an opportunity to stall out this attack.
SparkChief using the shield to keep himself alive and well, finding a skewer onto the Jeff, but FlyQuest, again, the ultimate economy is just abundant now as 40.42 meters is the difference between a FlyQuest 2-0 victory and a DARKZERO defeat. Can they make it work? So many ultimates, so many resources dumped right onto the fight, and that's all the difference. No damage needed. FlyQuest get it done, 2-0.
So many resources, but not enough bodies on the objective. And that is going to be one of the fastest Central Park pushes we have ever seen. What a play coming through from FlyQuest, a team which I am sure many have touted to be getting all the way through to grand finals. And when they have performances like that, you really cannot doubt this team. They truly are superstars.
They have been on fire, the meta favoring them as well. So many of these picks being used in their favor. Props to Energy